Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Colour Cave with me, Jem. We are returning to our colouring page in Hanna Karlzon's Summer Nights, and we are just going to jump right in and get started. Just a quick reminder, if this is the first video you're seeing, you can click on the link which I'm going to put in the card in the corner, which will take you back to the beginning if you want to start from the very beginning. We are using Polychromos pencils. And what I would like to do is make a start on this flower here. So just a quick reminder of the colours that we are using. Our darkest colour is violet. Our middle colour is crimson. And our lightest colour is my favourite middle purple pink. Okay, so carrying on with these petals, I'm starting off with the violet. I'm just going to put this down to rest my hand on now. Colour placement first. Starting off with the violet. Very, very light hand. We know this part's going to be dark, so we can just go for it here. I'm foreseeing a highlight here, so I don't want to bring this first colour too far out. I'm going to go on and do this one as well. And we take that down around that little corner there just so that we can use that as our sort of overlapping area. And with the crimson now. I just really like to get an idea of where I'm putting my colours down before I commit to anything drastic. I don't think it's a bad thing to do. Again, probably around here. I would imagine that this vein would be slightly darker, so I'm going to lean a bit harder there. And I'm going to create the highlight in this area here. Bring that down to about there, I think. And with the middle purple pink, I'm actually going to start at the tip and work my way backwards, so to speak, up the way. Up the way. Just have a look at this and decide whether I'm not entirely sure about that. Yeah, I think we'll go for that. So build up some layers now. Now keep this part under here nice and dark because it is underneath our green leafy part. I'm just going to bring this down this vein a little bit as well. Make it a bit more interesting. Start to blend in the crimson. I'm just going to lean it a little bit harder again down round this vein part, just to give it a little bit more depth. Now it's made my violet look really washed out now, so go back in with the violet. There we go. And middle purple pink down at the bottom here. And lighten my hand up as I get towards this sort of highlighted area that I have decided on. Keep that nice and dark. I'm just keeping a light hand. I'm kind of tiptoeing round this highlighted area. I want to keep that quite pale. I'm going to go into it though because I do want some sort of colour on the paper. Just not a huge amount. I'm going back to the crimson again just to work my way down this side now. And again, as I get to that slightly paler area, hello dog, I'm just going to let up a little bit. Darken this down now. There we go. Someone had commented on the last video, apologies for not remembering who it is, but that they wouldn't have put this combination of colours together, but that they liked it. So that was a nice compliment, thank you. I like to chop and change colours, because you do find this, if you do a large volume of colouring, which I don't, to be fair, you do end up, you kind of go to the, you know, the combinations and the colours that are familiar to you. So sometimes I think it's a good idea just to think outside the box a little bit and, you know, try and come up, not necessarily come up with new ways, because obviously there's only so many combinations of colours in the world, but try to sort of steer clear of that comfort zone, as it were. And don't be frightened to try new things. You can always try it out on scrap paper first, even if you just doodle yourself a, you know, a really simple little kind of daisy type flower and try them out there. I always find that stuff like that's a good idea, but I like doing things like that anyway. I like finding out stuff, and I like learning stuff. So I'm all about that. I am all about it. This morning I had the the misfortune of drawing the short straw, and I had to take our collie Jock to the vet. Now he's not sick or anything, so you know, no worries there, but he has an ongoing skin complaint that we have to manage, and the medication that he's on, the vet has to see him every now and then before he can get any more, and it's just to check that all his vitals and everything are okay and that he's healthy otherwise, because it is quite a new drug on the market, but it is very, very good. So it wasn't a, you know, it wasn't a horrendous visit to the vet, but the problem is that Jock does not like going to the vet. He's very shy, he's very timid, and he's one of these dogs that will sort of, you know, he jumps at someone shutting a door kind of thing. He is just really, really timid. So when things like the vet comes up, it becomes very difficult to get him to do anything. He will not jump into the back of my car if he is on his own. If I have another dog with me, it is not a problem, because the chances of going to the vet are very, very slim. Whereas if it's just him on his own, he knows that, yeah, the likelihood is that's where he's going, and that involves other dogs and people, and oh my goodness, that's, you know, that's too much. So having to pick up a nearly 19 kilo dog and basically just shovel him into the back of a 4x4, it's not great, it's not fun, especially when he resists every step of the way. So I had that to contend with this morning. It does become a bit of a military operation, but I managed to get him into the car, and when we got to the vets, it was our favourite vet that was on. She was the lovely lady that dealt with Mist, which was our other collie that we had to have put down at Christmas, and she absolutely loves Jock. So when he realised that it was her, he got a little bit happier and he started to wag his wee tail, and she started to cuddle him, and everything was fine. And I thought, if we could just explain that to you before we actually go, then, you know, we wouldn't have any of this hassle, because it took me a good 15 minutes to coax him out the house to lift him into the car. So yeah, that would be good if we could communicate with them in some way and just let them know that they're not going to get, you know, no one's going to hurt them and so on and so forth. So anyway, that was this morning's escapade. So that was a good start to the day. However, he got his tablets. Everything's fine. So I'm hoping that his poor itchy skin is going to calm down a little bit again, because it's just really inflamed. It's seasonal. It gets worse in the middle of the summer and also in the middle of the winter. So he's just really itchy just now, bless him. There is, well, they reckon it's a multifactorial thing. It's not caused by one single thing, but we do find there are things that exacerbate it. Extremes in temperature is the first one, which kind of makes sense really. That's a bit of a no-brainer. And also wheat. And we think other grains as well. We had to change his food, and when we switched to a grain-free food, the difference was dramatic in his skin. And we did test it out. We gave him a bowl of plain pasta one night just to see. At the time his skin was pretty good. And we gave him a bowl of pasta to see what would happen, and it sent him absolutely stellar. So we know for a fact that wheat's really, really bad, so he doesn't get anything like that anymore. Right, I'm just using the crimson here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring it right down both sides of this petal, and again it's just really because I feel that this should be in shadow in inverted commas, so using the darker colour right down there will help sort of represent that, if you like. So I'm just going to do the same both sides to about there. And then I can put my pinky colour in the middle and maybe have a wee highlight there as well. That would be pretty good, I think. So our vet was asking us today as well. We always talk about mist. She did bring up the subject of mist. And she asked when we were going to get our next working dog. So I explained to her that when we come back from our honeymoon, which will be sometime in October, we are going to start looking for another pup then. So she got all excited. I got unexcited. I'm still not, I think I mentioned this before, I'm just not ready for another one yet. But yeah, so she's excited. I'm glad someone's excited about it. Right, that's me. I'm going into my second layer now. And I was telling her that my friend, my best friend, has a girl that works for her, and her dog has just had puppies. She's a spaniel, she's a Springer Spaniel, and she had 10 puppies. And I was like, oh my goodness. So I was telling the vet this as well, and the vet, I thought she was going to implode. And she's like, I can't imagine having 10 Springer Spaniel pups running about. But she's like, oh, they'll be so cute. And they are, I can tell you, they are super duper cute. They really, really are. But my goodness. Mist had a litter of 5. And when she had them, I felt that that was 4 too many. They're so sweet when they're small. You know, when they're really, really small. And then when they get to about 3 weeks old, they become very mobile very quickly. And that's when the carnage starts. There was one morning I had puppies swinging off my pyjama legs. They were chewing the underside of my kitchen table, which wasn't a cheap kitchen table, by the way. And they were swinging off the black bin liner that curls over the top of the bin lid in the kitchen. And I just thought, oh my God, I've got another 6 weeks of this before I can even think about giving them home. So like, how am I going to cope? And that was only 5 puppies. So goodness knows how this girl is going to cope with 10 of them. But they are super cute. They really, really are super cute. Okay. That's looking a bit better. I'm not very happy with the violet up in here. I just feel it's not rich enough. I'll be honest, I don't think the tooth of this paper is going to take much more of that. And the other thing I'd like to do as well is I'm just grabbing my Payne's grey pencil, which, if you remember, we used up in here just to add a sort of little bit of shadow. I'm going to do the same thing for this petal here, because it is tucked in behind both sides, so I would like to kind of make that a bit more obvious and kind of set it back a bit. And that's literally just a couple of flicks. I didn't do anything drastic there. So what I'll do is I'll just bring it out slightly. Yeah, I'm happy with that. And then do the same in here, just in that top curve. Okay, I might go all the way down on this side, I haven't decided yet. Or I may go all the way down on this side. I'll wait until I've coloured the rest of it to decide whether or not I'm doing that. Right, I'm just going back in with my middle purple pink here, because I didn't really finish up what I was doing down the bottom. Yeah, so talk's been all about animals this last few days. I think my friend is going to end up with one of those spaniel puppies. She already has a dog, and he's getting older now. He's 11, and he is a sweetheart. but I think she might want to get another dog before anything happens to him. But I don't know. I'm just going to try and take some of this out. I kind of wanted a bigger highlight. Yeah, that's better. Just go back in with the middle purple pink and sort of tidy up those edges there, make them a bit less harsh. Yeah, okay, that's a bit better. Moving over, this is quite a big petal, this one. I'm going to keep the purple quite far up this time. I'm going to do what I did with this one over here, and I'm going to sort of accentuate one of these veins. I didn't want to do it with every single one because there is quite a lot going on here already. We've got the speckles, we've got the lines, and we've got our 3 colours as well. So I don't want to overpower what's going on. Again, that's just down to personal taste. So if you want to do it in all of them, feel free, go ahead, you do it. I am very much a kind of less is more person when it comes to colouring. You'll see that with my backgrounds as well. I never do anything overly complicated, and I kind of don't want to detract from the, you know, the main part of the picture too much. Plus as well, truthfully, I don't have the patience. Oh my, I'm not supposed to admit things like that. You do have to be a very, very, very patient person for colouring with pencils. It is the slowest medium you can use. I'm going to have a sort of highlight on the tip here as well as on this part here. So I'm just going to try not to encroach on that area too heavily, and only give it one layer. My mum had a notion to start colouring at one point, and when she said that, I actually laughed at her because my mum is singly the most impatient person that I've ever met in my entire life. And I said to her, Mum, I said, you'll not manage with coloured pencils, you really won't. Why not? Says she. So I kind of tried to be tactful about it, which didn't really work, and she kind of grumped a bit at me, but I think she lasted about 10 minutes with the pencils and decided she'd had enough. So I gave her some markers instead, and she just thought that was the best thing ever. So she coloured in a couple of Hannah Lynn's pictures from, I think it was it the mermaid one? I can't remember. That's terrible. I'll need to look that up. She coloured in a couple from there anyway though, and she had the best afternoon. She was there all afternoon. And I was kind of colouring along beside her, but I kept going back and forth. I had other things to do that day. So I was kept jumping back into the cave to see if she was all right, because she was in the cave. And yeah, she had a merry old time. So if you're not a patient person, all is not lost. You know, I have met people who really aren't into pencils at all. I personally can't fathom that, but I've always been a pencil person, even when I was really young. And, you know, I did a lot of drawing when I was younger as well, and it was always pencil. Everything was always pencil. And I mean, I do use other mediums. It's not that I don't, but I just prefer pencil. I love the versatility of them. I love the range of them as well. I mean, you go to town buying pencils. And it's just, I suppose I'm comfortable with them now as well, but I wish I could be a little bit more patient. I do believe though, as I'm getting older, I must be mellowing out in my old age, because I'm a lot more patient than I used to be. So hopefully, as my age advances, maybe my backgrounds will become more complex as I become more patient. We can dream. We can dream. There we go. Try not to go too far down with that. Go back in with this violet and just pop that in there. Same up here as well. Just sort of darken that in a bit. There we go. Yeah, see that? It's amazing the difference that tiny little detail can make. I'm not happy with what's going on this side. Yeah, I think I can't really bring my Payne's grey down here because this is a sort of highlighted area. So I'm going to go for it on this side instead. I mean, technically I could, but I just don't think it would look very good. I'm back with the pink again. I keep going back to this area. I'm just not happy with it. It's not vibrant enough for my liking. Get in there with my purple. I'm not being overly careful here. Now that I've kind of established, I'm comfortable with the colours, you know, I've repeated this blend a number of times now, and, you know, I'm getting a bit sort of blasé now about my colour placement. If you feel you want to take your time a bit more, by all means, then that's the great thing about YouTube videos. You can pause them and you can, you know, really take your time to get to grips with what you're doing and focus on the really fine details. And that's one of the things I love about YouTube. Some of you know already, I am a huge Peter Hewitt fan. I absolutely love her artwork, I love her colouring, I love everything. And there's many of her videos where I have paused and gone back, paused and gone back. And that's one of the things, as I say, I really love about YouTube. It's super for that. Get in here with this violet again. Our flowers are starting to take shape. I'm quite impressed. The other thing I realised the other day, I was scribbling away colouring myself, just, you know, letting my brain wander, and I realised that every single coloured page that I have done for the YouTube channel has been flowers. Every single one. So I have resolved that the next colouring page will not have any flowers in it. Because, let's face it, it's going to get pretty boring. I know a lot of people like to colour flowers, and the majority, there are a lot of, you know, there's a lot of flora and fauna in them. And particularly things like Johanna Basford's Magical Jungle, Ivy and the Inky Butterfly, most of Millie Marotta's books, and so on and so on. In fact, Hanna Karlzon's books as well. You know, there is a lot of petals and leaves, and because of my front to back work in progress, which is Enchanted Forest, I mean, I actually got leaf burnout at one point. It was terrible. I had to stop colouring in it altogether because I physically couldn't take having to colour another leaf, and mentally I couldn't take it either. So yeah, watch for the leaf burnout. It might happen to you if you're not careful. So the next page that we colour on the YouTube channel in the colour cave is there's not going to be a flower in sight, and I am going to make sure of it. So I'm just pre-warning you. If that upsets you in any way, shape or form, I'm really sorry, but we have to have some variety. We can't be doing the same things all the time. I don't even know how I came to realise that had happened. I don't know. I must have been going through all the pages we've done, you know, in my head and going, oh. Because we did a couple of pages from Ivy and Inky, and they were all definitely had flowers in them. And I did a page from Ticket to Dreams by... Was it Ticket to Dreams? No. What's the other one called? Poedra Edge Stronish Snoo, which translates as like the other side of sleep or something to that effect. And that was a flower I coloured in that one as well. And here we are. Look, we're colouring flowers in Hanna Karlzon. So yeah, the next one I think we're going to have to pick something else. So I'll have a little look and see what I have, and we can decide where we're going with that. Back to my violet again up here. Okay. I'm just going to take my Payne's grey now and I'm going to go along under here with it. Just to give us that wee shadowy look. Just to give us a bit of depth. Now I'm keeping it quite dark when I'm tight into this part, that I'm keeping the line quite dark and I'm leaning quite heavily, but I'm feathering it out slightly as I move away from it, just to soften it up a bit, because you don't want, if you have a really dark solid line there, you're just going to look as if the line art's too thick rather than it being a separate entity, if you understand my meaning. But by using grey rather than black, and you will rarely see me use black for things like this, unless the colour in behind it is very dark. Sometimes I'll use black, but generally I don't, because it's just too harsh. Okie dokie, looking good. We're moving on to our ready orangey colours now, which there are 4 of. We've got quite a lot of work to do here, so we shall not dilly-dally. Okay, and just a quick reminder again, the darkest colour is Madder. Then we have Deep Red. And then we have Light Cadmium Red. And last but not least, another favourite of mine, we have Orange Glaze. Now we're going to be careful here, because we've got 4 pencils and all these sections, they're not uniform, they are all different shapes and sizes. So when we're doing this, we have to be selective of how many colours out of our pencil combo that we're going to use, the same way as we did up here. There was no way I was going to fit 4 colours in there anyway, so we just opted, I think it was for 2. So we've got to use the same common sense when we come down here. But not only that, because it's very obvious that these are layered on top of each other, so you're not going to see the entire spectrum of our colour choices in every single leaf, because some of it's going to be tucked in behind the one that's on top of it. So to make this a wee bit easier, I'm going to start with the darkest colour, which is the Madder, and I'm just going to decide which ones are going to have this darkest colour. And this one here for definite. And we're probably going to see most of that down there, not so much up here, because it's going to be tucked in behind this part. So that one's definitely going to have it. And I think this one up here, this part in here that's peeking out, that's probably going to have it as well. And the same on this side. And I think with this one I'll bring it round just a little bit, because although you're thinking commonsensically here, you also want balance in your picture in terms of the colours that you're using. So you don't have to be absolutely scientifically correct. It's all about being aesthetically pleasing as well. So I'm just going to pop a tiny little bit in there. And the same here, just like a line more or less. And I'm getting light hand because this is our colour placement. And this one in here, just in this tiny little part here. And in here. This is where using the light hand for colour placement is a really good idea, because this could get a bit crazy. It also means if you do have something that looks a bit lopsided, you can go back and fix it. I've said it a million times and I'm going to keep saying it forevermore. I don't think I'm going to bother putting any of the darkest red in this part. It's very small anyway, so I think we'll skip that out. So the next colour down is the deep red. And naturally, where we've had the Madder, the deep red should be the next in succession, as it were. So I'm going to bring this down to probably about there. And I'll start on this one next to it. And that's going to go in there. And we can go to town on this one. Again, this is very, very rough. Very rough. Okay. Now, with this one, the question is, do we want 2 or 3 colours? I think 2 is plenty on that one. There. Two for this one as well. Look, it's so diddly. Tiny, tiny. Okay. Then we're moving into the light cadmium red. So we're just gonna pop that in where we think it should be going. About there. Splodge in there. And this is going to be in at the base of this one. Put that round there. Again, all these parts, they don't have to be completely uniform. You are going to get some irregularity, I can't even say it, irregularities in nature anyway. So don't get bogged down with making it absolutely precise, because you really don't need to. Okay, I'll start that colour in there. Ooh, I'll just kind of squash it in. Alright. And that just leaves the space for our lightest colour, which is the orange glaze. And I'm going to do what I usually do, and I'm going to start at the opposite end just to be awkward. I just find it easier. I don't know why, but I just do. I'm just going to bring that round a little bit. I may put some highlights on some of these, which is why I'm not colouring all the way up. I should really have mentioned that. People are thinking, what's she doing? Okay. Right, so I know roughly where these colours are going now. So let's get to work. Back to madder. Deep red. I'm doing it again, I've got a pencil in my mouth. I'm terribly sorry. Oh. It's a habit I just can't break. I have tried. And then cadmium, light cadmium red. And our orange glaze. Yeah, okay, I'll leave a tiny highlight there. So small. Now really I'm just going to be jumping back and forth now between my pencils to blend these colours together and even them out as much as possible. And the best way to do this is just eyeball it. One of the best things you can do, especially when you're doing a bit of detail work like this, is every now and then just stop and sit back and look at your picture, you know, as a whole. And that's usually really helpful in deciding if you need more of something or you need to change what you're doing, that kind of thing. It's important to do that and not to fixate on one specific part of your picture, because that's how you end up going overboard and just taking things too far. So I'm moving on to my next one now. So one of the things they always say to you when you're learning to draw, if you use a reference picture or if you're painting from real life or drawing from real life, you should spend an equal amount of time. Oh wow, tractors. You should spend equal amounts of time looking at your reference and looking at your picture. And that's kind of for the same reasons, well, I think anyway. I was just saying there. It's very easy to get lost in a section of what you're doing and not see the bigger picture and see how it all joins together. So I highly recommend it. Just get this nice and bright here. That clunk you just heard was Jock, my collie, banging his head off the desk when he was stretching. Oh wow. Never ceases to amaze me. Collies are supposed to be intelligent animals. I beg to differ. I really, really beg to differ. I've decided I'm not having a highlight on this one. Yeah. If you've ever watched a collie trying to climb up onto a sofa, it is hilarious. It really, really is. And I just look at them and it's like, I'm incredulous. I'm like, you can coordinate those four legs to run like the wind, to change direction and round up sheep, but you can't coordinate them to climb up onto a sofa. Oh my. Yeah, I've just decided there that I don't want highlights on these bottom leaves because that one's really sort of tucked again. It's like, seems to be more tucked in behind. So I'm going to leave my highlights for the ones that are closer to the camera because that's where our light source is coming from. Plus as well, I don't want the page to be too pale overall because we have got quite a pale background, so really we want these nice and bright anyway. So yeah, Jock's not as clumsy as Mist though. She was incredibly clumsy. We have a step up into our lounge from our kitchen and it is just one step and it has always been there, and Mist used to trip up and down it regularly and all she was doing was walking in and out of the room, and I just, you know, I'm like, really, you're supposed to be an intelligent creature. She was really clumsy though, but she only had one eye. And everyone always used to say, oh, it's just because she's only got one eye. And I'm like, no, she did that when she had two eyes as well. She was also terrible at catching a tennis ball. She had no eye-to-mouth coordination, which again is really, really funny, especially see if you've been drinking, if you've had a bit of a tipple. That was an evening's entertainment, and it sounds cruel, but it was incredibly funny. Incredibly funny. Collies are obviously just not really designed for that purpose. Well, my collies aren't anyway. They're just built for chasing sheep and cuddling you. We used to have a collie called Ben, and Ben was amazing at catching a ball, and he was very, very coordinated, but he didn't make such a good sheepdog, interestingly enough. He still did his job, you know, there was nothing wrong with what he did, but you would never look at him and go, you know, when he's working and go, wow, that is that is a really, really good sheepdog. He was just kind of one of these ones. He was kind of like the canine equivalent of one of these guys that just goes to work, does the bare minimum and goes home again. That's what Ben was like when it came to rounding up sheep. He's like, yeah, I'll do it for you, but that's it. No favours. I can't decide where I want the highlight on this. I think where I've got it's good. I think I'm just going to go for it. Very indecisive today. I don't know what's going on. Usually I'm quite sort of, you know, sorted and... I was going to say determined. That's not even the right word. I'm just very methodical and sure about what I'm doing because I'm a person that likes to be organised. And I think that's why a lot of the time I'm not bad at making decisions, but I don't know. Today's not one of those days. This is coming together really nicely, this picture. Now I'm just looking up at the rest of it while I'm filling these petals in. And I'm quite pleased with the colours. I think the colour choices were a win, which is good. I just wanted it to be really bright and cheery. That was the feeling I got when I looked at this picture to begin with. I thought, yeah, these flowers need to be really bright. Just wanted two colours for this, didn't we? Did we? I can't actually see in this light, but yeah, we'll go for two. Shows you how much attention I've been paying to the things that I'm seeing. Oh my. just decided I'm going to bring this a bit further along here. Get my orange glaze on the go. This line up the sides if I've missed a bit. Just didn't want to colour that bit. I feel like I should be whistling a little tune. I'm actually kind of concentrating on what I'm doing for a little while, just because we've got so many different bits to this part. I feel as if it deserves my undivided attention, sort of. That's good. Just building up these colours now. Again, trying to make it quite vibrant. I sat and watched some of the World Cup last night. We're not huge football fans in our house, but I'm quite happy to sit and watch, especially when it's the World Cup. I don't mind so much when it's the World Cup. But Mr. Jem, he's not hugely into football. Again, he's one of these people, if it's on, he'll sit and watch it, but he doesn't support a team, or, you know, he doesn't have a season ticket for a particular team or anything like that. Too busy being a farmer to do things like that. But we don't mind watching it if it's on. So last night I was watching Portugal playing, and oh my goodness, they had an absolute stinker. I was really surprised at the level of football. Spain were also playing as well, and they didn't do as well as I thought they were going to do either. So, but did you know the thing that struck me about watching football? And I'm quite happy to watch most sports on TV, with the exception of like cricket. I don't understand cricket. I have tried to understand cricket, but I don't get it. With the exception of cricket and snooker, which is pretty boring to watch. I can sit and watch almost any sport and, you know, learn something about it and, you know, find something interesting about it. And the thing that struck me almost immediately when I started watching football is, see the amount of time they spend diving about and rolling about the ground, you know, pretending to be injured when clearly there is nothing wrong with them. I have to say, footballers are total and utter prima donnas. They really are. As like somebody like Ronaldo, everyone knows who Ronaldo is. Ronaldo supposedly elbowed this guy in the face, and you're lucky if his elbow brushed his cheek. And he was rolling about the floor holding his face and pulling his knees up to his chest, and I was like, oh my good God, get a grip of yourself. You're a grown man rolling about the grass. No one cares. You're not bleeding. Get up. And it's one of the differences that if you ever watch rugby, and I know it's not the same game in any way, shape or form, but rugby players have like bits hanging off them and they're bleeding and stuff, and they don't want to like make a fuss of it. They want to get up and get on. And it's like football is actually the entire polar opposite. They are like opposite ends of the spectrum. But I actually just couldn't believe how much diving about was going on when I was watching the football last night, and I thought, oh, for goodness sake. Well, seeing these guys, that they get paid far too much money, clearly. The amount of stoppage time that had to be played because of people dealing with injuries that weren't actually real injuries was just ridiculous. Don't see any rugby players doing that. Anyway, that's my football rant over. Aside from that though, it's quite good. I have given a choice. If I had to watch sport on TV, I would happily watch athletics all day long. All day, all day, all day long. I think because I like to run, you know, athletics appeals to me, particularly obviously the track events. Very, very much an enjoyable thing, and I could sit and watch athletics all day. And when the Olympics was on, I watched a surprising amount of the Olympics as well. And again, I tended to watch the sports that I didn't know anything about, just because I like to learn things, and some of them are really interesting. I love watching gymnastics as well. I think that the discipline and the bravery of the gymnasts is just absolutely fantastic. And they make their bodies do some crazy things. So yeah, I'm quite happy to sit and watch sport. It wouldn't be, I don't watch a lot of TV anyway. I've never been a big TV person. But there would be other things that I would pick over sport to watch on TV, but it's surprising how much I will actually watch. Right. Oh, look at how pretty our flowers look. Oh yes, they are absolutely delightful. Okay, so now what I want to do is I'm going to tackle these stalks. So what we're going to use for them, that's really far in. I'm going to tackle these stalks, and we're going into yellows here. So I have dark cadmium yellow. What's the middle one? Light cadmium yellow and light yellow glaze. And I'm just going to do a sort of gradient the same way as I had done previously with our other pencils, and this is going to be quite quick. So pay attention. I'm going to start with the darkest yellow and just put a tiny little jot in at the top, and I'm going to press down really hard. I'm not going to go back over these. And then the light cadmium yellow is next. Yellows blend really well, so there's no need to mess about with layers and whatnot. And again, I think it's just because they are such light colours. And down the bottom here, when we get into these sort of bulbous shapes, I'm using the lightest yellow, which is the light yellow glaze. And I'm just working in a C shape here. It's really difficult for the camera to pick this up because it's such a light colour, but where I'm indicating with my pencil, I'm leaving a tiny white spot. So I'm really only colouring the right hand side of each of these in a sort of C shape, if you can see what I'm doing there. Now what I would like to do here is take my darkest yellow again, which we decided was the dark cadmium yellow. I'm going to sharpen this tip up as much as I can. Let's give this a little brush off. Maybe it'll help if I zoom out a little bit. My camera seems to struggle when it's zoomed in really far. It seems to struggle with the light setting. I don't know why that is, but okay, with my really sharp dark cadmium yellow, I'm just going to go in and pressing really hard and put in a wee accent on the bottom of each of these bulb shapes, like so. I'm going to continue on here, again pressing quite hard there. And I'm not making these even, I'm deliberately not doing it. I would want a wee bit of variation, so I don't want them all absolutely uniform. And now we have the light cadmium yellow, and I'm just going to blend that in. so easy to blend. Bring this all the way down to here. So yeah, you can mix and match with this part. There we go, and back to my light, I keep forgetting the name of this pencil, light yellow glaze. And I'm just going to finish all my stalks first, because there's some where I've, you know, finished higher up than others. There we go. And then I'm going to do my sort of C shapes. If you're right-handed, you might go that way with your C shapes instead of on this side. It doesn't really matter, it's entirely up to you. I mean, I do it this way. That comes naturally to me because I'm left-handed. So, yeah, I'm pressing really firmly here when I'm doing this. And back with my dark cadmium yellow and just, oh, I've missed one up here, oh no. There we go. Back with my dark cadmium yellow and flick in these little accents. There we go. I've missed another one. I'm terrible at this game. Why didn't anybody shout and tell me? Come on, guys. There we go. I don't know if I'll get an accent in that one. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to zoom out now and we can see the picture in its entirety for where we are. There we go. I think we are looking good. The only other thing that I want to do at this stage just before we finish up is come back in with my Payne's Grey and just add in some little shadows along here. So we'll do that and then I think we'll call it quits at that because we must be coming near 45-50 minutes, something like that. So yeah, in here. Now look at the difference. Oh, it helps if it's actually in shot. Come on, Gem. Sorry, it was very unprofessional of me there. The difference that that one simple line makes is just is just perfect. Absolutely perfect. That's all you need. It's just that suggestion. That these are underneath. I'm going to turn this book around to make it a bit easier on myself here. And again, I'm not pressing particularly hard, but you can always build it up. If you keep that light hand to begin with, you can always go back in. So I'm just, again, I'm not picking out every single part because I think it'll end up looking too uniform and I don't want that. There's a little dark bit in there and in there. There we go, that looks pretty good, I think. Quite happy with that. And there's not much happening over in the other one, so we'll leave it at that. Alright then. How are we looking? What do we think? Happy with that? I think so. Alright, I think our next video for this will be the final video. We'll do our little dangly gem drops and we can finish off the little white dots and everything as well, and we can say that we are done at that stage. So thank you very much once again for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If this is the first video you're seeing, please feel free to subscribe to the channel, and if you like this particular video I think you should give it a thumbs up. Thumbs up for us is always good. We are a teeny weeny channel and we want to get bigger. So thumbs up really help us along the way and bump the videos up through the recommendations so that people can find us. Hope you all enjoy the rest of your day and we'll see you again sometime soon in the Colour Cave. Bye guys.